She was grateful she didn't have Karen Dodd's job, with cameras on her every day at precisely 11:30, just before the noon news. She'd had her fill of cameras for the rest of her life. Unfortunately, the cameras weren't quite through with her yet. She just had the wedding to get through, and then they would go away, their rabid attention aimed at some other poor, unsuspecting innocent who foolishly believed all of this would be fun. She twisted the diamond around on her left hand, thinking of Andy, counting down the days until she said, "I do." After the cameras went away, she could focus on married life, catch her breath as she set up housekeeping with this man she had chosen. Finished with her opening monologue, Karen turned her attention to the woman sitting beside Wynne. Wynne had met her briefly that morning in the green room, such as it was. The room was actually a bland beige, with 2 folding chairs and a pot of coffee that looked and smelled like it had been made first thing that morning and left to char for hours. Stuck in the tiny room with Marybeth, it had taken Wynne all of 2 seconds to surmise that the two of them had little in common beyond their hometown and reality TV show success. Now Meredith Welsh seemed to hum with a barely suppressed compulsion to leap into action. Her eyes danced, her face beamed as she soaked up Karen's long introduction of her and all her accomplishments. Photos flashed of Meredith in her many forms: wife, mom, activist, athlete, adrenaline junkie, and, most recently, reality TV star. As the camera turned on her, Meredith leaned into it, her smile widening as Karen introduced her as the current winner of the popular reality TV show Marathon Mom. On the show, Uber moms completed superhuman tasks in order to be crowned the Marathon Mom. Meredith had used, Wynne assumed, the same bleaching procedure on her teeth as those guys who courted her. Wynne wanted to shield her eyes from the brightness. Instead, she tucked her hands under her knees as Karen turned her attention to her and launched into her intro. She felt the familiar redness creep across her cheeks as they played the tired old audition video that had become a viral hit and earned her a spot on The Rejection Connection, a dating show that paired recently dumped women with a host of eligible bachelors. Wynne's video had featured her honest, heartfelt tale of her recent breakup with her high school sweetheart and fiancé. She'd been a little too vulnerable, a little too open in that video, using the camera her best friend Picky aimed at her as a sort of confessional. In a spectacularly weak moment, she'd let Picky enter it to be considered. No one had been more surprised than she when the video struck a chord with women everywhere, their own tears mingling with her cyber ones. Her most embarrassing moment was captured forever, then celebrated as she not only got picked for the show, but then went on to have, as the promos for the show had said, a second chance at love. In truth, no matter what it had earned her, Wynne still wished she could find that video and burn every form of it, eradicating it. It never got easy to see her heartbreak splashed across the screen, never became passé to see herself spilling her guts and wiping her nose. Because the truth was, in spite of the fame and perks and second chance at love, that hurting girl, now sobbing openly on the screen, was still her. When the video ended and the live audience expressed their ahs and ohs and one "You go, girl, you showed him" that made everyone laugh, Karen turned to face Meredith and Wynne. She spent a few minutes gushing over their fair city's unusual fortune at having not one but 2 reality TV stars in their midst, then began the typical barrage of questions. Each time she hurled one at Wynne, it felt like being hit with a small pebble. Not enough to do damage, but enough to sting. She'd grown tired of having pebbles hurled at her by the greedy, curious public. She tried to focus as Meredith happily returned Karen's volleys. How was it that this woman seemed so genuinely happy to be grilled by people who didn't know her and would forget about her by the next rating sweep? Wynne had a few more weeks to go before this circus folded up its tent and went away. Maybe she could learn a thing or two from Meredith. Karen turned to Wynne, her face appearing open and genuine, but this close, Wynne could see that her eyes didn't match. In her eyes, Wynne saw something that resembled jealousy. It was easy to see how this local talk show host might mistake Wynne's sudden fame and fortune as bigger and more significant than hers. She wanted to tell the whole truth right then and there, set this woman and the audience straight. Tell the world that yes, it had been fun and kind of surreal at first, but the more popular